Greetings everyone and welcome to FreeCiv 2.4.0. For this playthrough series I'm going to be using the SDL client, which is one of two clients available for playing FreeCiv. If you're curious about the differences between the two clients, check out my comparison video on FreeCiv, and I will include that in the same playlist as this playthrough. So it'll either be at the top of the list or at the bottom of the list depending on how you're looking at that. So with that said, let's get started with a new game. If you watched that video, you saw I set up a whole bunch of defaults for my games. I'm going to adjust a couple things here. First of all, the map size. I'm going to actually reduce that down a bit. So I'm going to do that by typing in the following command, which is /set size 8. And that's going to give us a map of 8,000 tiles. Now I'm also going to adjust the difficulty. I had the default as novice, which is too easy, and then I tried a few games at normal, which is too hard. So I'm going to go with easy, which is a midway between the two. So let's go /easy. This game is actually really hard. I keep getting my butt kicked, so don't come into this expecting a huge victory or anything. But we will get through the early and mid part games for sure, and who knows, I might luck out and be able to finish this up. Okay, so let's pick our nation. And I am once again going to be the Canadians, which is where... Oops, passed it. This is a huge list, so it's kind of hard to scroll through. So there, Canadians. And I will be the leader of the Canadians, the Right Honorable Larry Monty. And we will pick this city style. Okay, and that's all we need to do to get set up, so we can just go ahead and hit the start button. Okay, and here we are. Alright, before we get started, I'm just going to pop into the options menu for a sec, and I'm going to go to server options and geological, and yep, my adjustment did take, so 8,000 tiles, and number of tiles rather than the width and height. So that's good. One other thing I want to have a quick look at. Barbarian onset turn 80. That's actually really soon because the Barbarians are really tough in this game. So I think the normal is 120. I've actually reduced it to 80 just to make it a little more interesting in the early game. And there's one more thing in here which I will just quickly point out. We'll talk about it more later. We'll definitely see it in action, I'll guarantee you that. Is migration, citizen migration. And basically your citizens will migrate from one town to another if they don't like the conditions of the town they're in. So, and they will actually disband cities if enough of them migrate away. So that's a really cool mechanic, and I've had a lot of fun and a lot of frustration at the same time with it. So we'll see how that works a bit later. So we'll just go back to our map and get started here. Okay, so we start with an explorer unit, a settler unit, and a worker unit. And I see we have a goody hut right here. That could be anything good, or it could be filled with barbarians that will just eat up your unit on you. So I think that's actually a pretty good settling spot right there. There's a little outline. I don't know whether you can see it on the YouTube video, but it sort of outlines just what's going to be encompassed in this city. So that's looking pretty good. I got some coal here. I've got lots of hills, lots of river with some grassland, some wheat there. So that's a pretty good location. I think I'm just going to grab that by hitting the build button. I know I can completely navigate this game using hotkeys, but I think because I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm going to use the mouse for everything. Like I can move my units by just hitting the numbers on the numpad. But I think for this video, just so you can see what I'm doing, I will just use the mouse. So we'll just hit the build key, and Ottawa is our capital. Okay, now that we're in the city screen, we can see we have our palace. Our city is going to grow in 10 turns, and we're currently building a phalanx. So we got bronze working right off the bat. Sometimes you got to research that first, but okay. So I'm going to actually change this, go into our production, and I'm going to go straight for a settler. I know right now there's no barbarians, so I can get away with building a settler right off the bat. I don't have to worry about protecting the city too much unless there's a neighbor right beside me who gets aggressive in the first 10 turns, which I don't think is going to happen. So I'm pretty safe to do the settler first. Then we'll do our defensive units. Okay, we founded Ottawa, and we will get going with our explorer. So I basically just hold down the left button, and that That initiates the move order. I'm not going to get that hut with him, just in case it is barbarians. If I lose that worker, that's going to set me back a fair bit. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to irrigate that tile right there. And we'll just circle around our capital here with the explorer. I guess we can't go too much further that way. So it looks like we're close to the coast here. Okay, so he's standing on plains right now, and if you hit your scroll wheel button, if you click that down, or the middle mouse button, I guess is what it's called, you'll get an advanced menu where you can pull up the train info. So here we can see that we're on a plains river, and our food production and trade is 1, 1, and 1. So by irrigating this, I'm going to bump that up to 2. So I'm going to irrigate that. Now, grassland is already at 2 for food. And while we're in despotism, that's not going to get any better. So we could irrigate it, but we're not going to get any benefit for irrigating it early. So we're not going to irrigate that right away. We will get at it shortly. But plains and mining are my big concerns right now of getting that going, because we can at least increase some yields that way. So I'm going to hit the irrigate button on that. And he'll just work away on that. And we'll continue to explore. Maybe come up and grab that goody hut. Hoi! We found 50 gold. Perfect. Let's see what's down here, I guess. Not a whole lot by the looks of it. Oh, it's starting to look like a little chunk of land down here we might be able to take advantage of. But I think most of it's going to end. Yep. Okay, so that irrigation is done, and we have wheat here. We could irrigate that, but again, it's not going to give us any benefit until we get out of despotism. So we definitely need to get a government going before we can take advantage of some of that. And I see we have coal here, so I'm going to just whip over and mine that. I get the feeling that ends right there, so I'm actually going to come up this way. And we'll mine that. And sometimes you have to hit shift return to end the turn. And there's our settler done. So now we can come in and we will build our defensive unit, which is a phalanx. And here's the stats right here, 1, 2, and 1. And if you want to get better information on this, once again, the middle mouse button or the scroll wheel, we click that down and we get the help on it. So it's going to cost us 20 shields. The upkeep is 1 shield per 1 citizen, I think. I'm not sure how that works, but it's going to be 1 shield anyways. But you get 3 free units per city. So the first 3 we build aren't going to cost us anything. And he's got attack of 1, defense of 2, and he can move 1. So he's got a vision of 2, firepower 1, hit points of 10. And he requires bronze working, which we got by default coming into the game. And he's obsoleted by pikemen, and then a whole bunch of modifier stuff here that you can read through if you want. Gets a 50% bonus when in cities, so he's a perfect city defender. So that's why we're going to build him. Okay. Now we need to pick a nice city site, and I would like to get right on the coast. I do like to get a coastal city fairly early, just so I can get it built up, so it'll build some decent military stuff. Missed the whale there. If I go here, okay. Well, I'm just going to go here, and that won't cause any overlap on our capital city's territory. And that's, I try not to overlap too much on the capital, because the capital will get big and we need all these land tiles to actually support it. So smaller cities or cities I'm not too concerned about, I'll actually crunch in fairly close. But I try to give each city its maximum amount of land available if I can. Ooh, a goody hut. Okay, so we'll hit the build key on that. And welcome to Toronto. 10 turns. How much for a settler? 20 turns. So once again, I know there's no barbarians kicking around, so I'm going to just prioritize that for now. And then we'll get our defensive unit going. And we'll see what's in the hut. We found horseback riding, so now we can pick a new research or a new technology. And I usually go for pottery because it gives us workers, and then we can start improving our land a bit more. And it'll be done in 7 turns. And once again, when in here, middle mouse button brings up some more information. So anytime you need help on anything, just click on something with the middle mouse button and you'll get to all this stuff. I'm not exactly sure how to get into this help menu otherwise. There's no real hotkey for it I could find. So just middle clicking on something brings this up. And you can't even get out of advances here to go maybe to units or anything. So it's a little counterintuitive there, but still not too bad. And we found horseback riding. Okay, so continue on. Hey, who are you? Maybe once he gets... Oh, I hope he doesn't run in there. That's going to be a problem. I don't know whether explorers can take cities or not. Okay, he's not going to do it. So let's see. Who are we? Algerians, ruled by good old what's his name? I'm not even going to try to pronounce some of these names. They're some of them are pretty tongue-tie-ish. And they're asking for a ceasefire. So you're immediately at war when you meet somebody. So just keep that in mind. And you do have to establish a ceasefire if you're going to make any kind of peace with them. So we'll accept that. And we'll carry on with our exploration. And there's probably not too much to be said at this point in the game. So I'm just going to play on and not say too much. Okay, so I built a mine here, and generally when I build stuff, I'll throw a road on it while I'm standing here. I do road spam everywhere. Later on, I believe you get benefits for having roads on certain tiles. So we'll put a road on that, and our phalanx is done. So come back into the city, and growth in 3 turns, so I could build another settler. Yeah, city spam in the early game as much as you can, because that's exactly what the AI is doing. So build as many settlers and get as many cities going in the early game as you can. Okay, so we will fortify him. We will grab that goody hut. We found 25 gold. Perfect. I'd kind of like to know what's over that way, so we'll come back this way. And historian publishes the most militarized civilizations in the world, which is the Supreme Canadians, which is really odd considering I only have 1 troop. These guys must have no troops. They're probably building nothing but settlers. Okay, so carry on. Okay, so we learned pottery. I'll go with masonry. Only because I want the pyramids. And it gives us the ability to move our capital if we wish to and stuff like that. Okay, so the road's done there. I'll throw a road on that forest. And then we'll look at something else to do. Build a road. And there's another settler done. So now we will build another phalanx. I generally like to get at least 2 in each city, 2 phalanx, and city walls. And between that, you can usually hold off the barbarians that'll show up. Usually, I say. I have seen them punch through that on occasion, so it's not a steadfast rule. If you want to be really nerdy about it, you could put 3 units in there. And these little stars beside the flag indicate how many units are fortified in your city, or are standing in your city, I guess. Okay, so where do we want to go from here? I see some iron here. That's kind of cool. I might go right there. Get some silk, got some rivers. I'm going to overlap a little bit in here. Just by 1 tile, so that's not bad. So yeah, I think I'll go right there. And it's not imperative to keep your cities right tight to each other. You can actually spread them out a bit. I'm just trying to recall if I've seen any capital distance penalties in this game. I don't think I have. Oh, another goodie hut. Found another 50 gold. So we have 201 gold now. And our tax rate is at 40 and our science is at 60. No luxuries. So if you want to look at your economics, that's this button here, or you hit F5. And it's pretty simple. You'll get your support information down below once we get some stuff built. But we're total income of 2. We're not spending anything, so we have a net income of 2. And you can adjust your sliders here as needed. Okay, carry on. If you want to move the map around, it's the right button, right mouse button. Okay, that chunklet of road is done, so I see there's a river on this hill, so I'm actually going to irrigate that hill. Because I'm pretty sure it's only given us 1 food at this point. So middle mouse button, train info, and yeah, so irrigating will give us 2. Alternatively, we could mine it and get some production, but I'm just looking around here. We got plenty of hills and stuff for production elsewhere, so we'll take advantage of the river that's on that hill. And irrigate. Okay, so I think we'll just build right there. That looks pretty good. Although it is going to be kind of shy on food, isn't it? This might not be such a great place. Yes, that's actually going to be a problem now that I look at that. Yeah, this place won't grow, and what'll end up happening is a migration will kick in, and it'll probably... Well, maybe I'll do it anyways. I'll do it anyways. Just a little demonstration on how that mechanic works. Yeah, phalanx growth in 20 turns. So yeah, so food's not so good here. So I'll just go ahead and let the phalanx build. And we founded Edmonton. Let's actually go back and have a quick look here. We do have a bit of river. Have to chop those trees down to get the food under it. Might be alright. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, it's connected down here. Okay, so the Algerians are now asking for a peace, which is a more permanent type of arrangement rather than the ceasefire. The ceasefire expires, and I don't think the peace agreement does unless one of us declares war on the other. So, and because we're so early in the game, we're not going to cause any problems. We're just going to accept that. Okay, so let's have a look at our nation screen. And Algerians. Yep, that's them there. Normally there's a line between the two civilizations, but because we're side by side here, can't really see it. Oh, armistice. 16 turns, so I guess that does expire. Okay. That's the thing about playing all these Civ games. The rules end up getting jumbled in your head, and you're never really quite sure just which way things work. Okay, so we got a phalanx. And I am going to attempt to build the Colossus here shortly, but I think I'll get the granary first. And it is pronounced granary, and sometimes I call it granary, so if I flip between those two pronunciations, just ignore it. So that'll get our city. What that does is it retains half the food after city growth. I think that's pretty standard in a lot of the Civ games, so that works as normal. And we'll fortify him in the city. And continue exploring. Maybe backtrack a bit here. Okay, so there's masonry. We can now build city walls and all that good stuff. And I think we'll go for ceremonial burial next, get some temples. I'd try not to leave that too long because we do need temples eventually. And we got another settler done, so let's get you a defensive unit. Now, where to go with you? Get some whales and stuff here. It's all wet plains, I think. Yep. So I could irrigate all those plains. That's actually not looking too bad right there. So we'll come right there. Another coastal city for us. Ooh, goody hut. Okay, so that phalanx got finished. 13 turns before we can grow. 13 turns for a settler. I think I'm going to let it grow, though. Generally, I think the migration factor is it's partially driven by how much population you have. And if you have more than one citizen, then they'll migrate one at a time. So you sort of have time to deal with the migration if you have more than one citizen. So I think in this place I'll let this one grow, and I'll just build another phalanx in here. And if we come over to the second button up here, these are buttons up here, you can see what units are supported in the city. This first button is the units present, such as your fortified units and everything, or anybody standing in the city. And this actually shows you the supported units. So this works the old style where each city supports units. It's not a national thing. So you have to build units per city rather than nationally. So your support comes from the hammers. You'll see the support starting to show up here. We do get 3 free units under this particular government anyways. So we can build up to 3 units before it starts costing us hammers. And we will fortify you. Grab the goody hut. 25 gold. Another goody hut. 50 gold. Excellent. Okay, so that's done. What was on that? Just hills, eh? Well, I might slip over here for a minute. Maybe help Toronto out a bit. So let's go mine that. Okay, so I've set up a pop-up request when we're done building stuff in a city. So if I click on that, it takes us to the city. And then I can go adjust what I need to adjust. Barracks, not yet. I'm going for the Colossus first. Once again, middle mouse button Brings up some information. So by building the Colossus, and it does not have to be on a coastal city like in Civ 5 or whatever. Each tile around the city where this wonder is built is already generating some trade, will produce one extra trade resource. So that's usually pretty good if there's lots of rivers around, which there is, because we already get one trade on that, so that'll bump to 2 once that's finished. So we'll close that and carry on. You can mine that, and we'll continue our exploration. Okay, so we're going to get wine, 2 whales. I'm going to miss that, but I can probably catch that with a different city up here maybe. So, okay, we will build there. I probably got enough time to do this again. We'll do the settler first, then we'll get our defensive unit. Founded Fredericton. Ooh, goody hut. 50 gold, beautiful. Okay, ceremonial burial's done. Go for warrior code. 7 turns. Okay, so that's finished. And I'm going to put some walls in here too. That's going to take, actually, no. Go for the granary first. Okay, so we'll fortify you. Yeah, just because Edmonton might be a little short on food, I'm not going to worry about building too many settlers out of that one. Okay, so 8 turns till we grow. We already have 2 citizens, so I think I'm going to pop off another settler out of here. And we will fortify you. I wonder where that other nation is. And historian publishes the richest civilizations in the world, the Supreme Canadians, with a total of 378 gold. Okay, that noise we just heard was telling us that we have finished the Colossus in Ottawa. So we'll look at that in a second. And we have learned warrior code. So, next up, the wheel, alphabet. We'll go for alphabet. Pretty important, so we've finished building the Colossus. So, and as you can see, we now make 2 gold off that tile. That was only making 1 earlier. So definitely a good wonder to get. You can usually get it fairly quickly in an early game. Okay, so go for the pyramids maybe. I usually wonder spam my capital. Do nothing but build wonders in it. How many citizens do we have? 2. It's not going to grow for a bit, so I'm not going to have to worry about happiness right away. I was wondering if I should grab the temple first, but I don't think I will. Great Wall is kind of useless. It puts city walls in all your cities, but it does obsolete. So at one point in the game, suddenly you have no walls in any of your cities. So I just generally sidestep that wonder and manually build the city walls, because you got to do it later anyways. Hanging Gardens gives us a content citizen. That's kind of important too. They're both the same amount of turns. I could probably live without the pyramids, so I'm going to go for the hanging gardens. Pyramids are nice. They increase the effect of the granaries, so it does help your growth in the overall scheme of things. Okay, so you can click this info box down here to go to the next unit, which is right there. So I'll throw a road on that. And another goodie hut. And we got a unit out of it. It's a legion. Beautiful. Get maybe him to explore up here. And I'll maybe pull you over this way. Okay, this is a freebie unit, meaning it's not pulling any support from any cities, so it's not costing anything to have this. Generally, if it's supported from a city, the city name will appear down here under the unit name. Okay, carry on. Ooh, another goodie hut. And another unit. And it's another freebie, so you carry on, explore stuff then. And Edmonton has finished building the granary. Okay, so you have size 2 now, which is good. And I will stick some city walls in here, I guess. And hopefully that will make this city more desirable than the capital. That way they'll be less apt to migrate. So that hasn't happened yet, so that's a good thing. It's a huge pain when they start migrating and disbanding your cities on you and all that good stuff. I still haven't quite figured out how to actually avoid that from happening. It just kind of happens. But it has something to do with the amount of people, the amount of improvements you have in the city, all that kind of stuff. So if you build a city, ignore it. Basically, what's going to happen is people just migrate elsewhere. So it's important to keep your stuff going. Okay, learned alphabet. Ironworking. The wheel. We'll go for the wheel. Get some quicker troops out there, because sometimes you got to get to a spot in a hurry, and these foot units just don't get there very quickly. Put a road on that. Yep. I'm just going to put a road there too, and then I'm going to come over and put a road on that silk, and hopefully that will help some money. Oh, there we go. There's somebody in here. And you can wander into their area, at least with the Explorer. They tend to get a little antsy if you start wandering through with the military, but Explorer is usually pretty good. Okay, who do we have here? Make contact with the Guanese. Okay. And we'll agree to the ceasefire. And we have another settler ready. But I'm going to actually end this episode right here. We're past our half-hour mark. So when we come back, we will continue expanding. So that's a quick look at FreeCiv, at least at the very early game. It is a good game. It's definitely really tough. Later game is just insane. So that's why I've adjusted my difficulties a bit. I did play a few games at normal, but wow, the Barbarians were just hugely killing me. So we'll see what the easy level is like. This is the first time I've played at the easy level. Like I said, novice was just way too easy. So So we'll see how this game goes, and I'm liking what I'm seeing as far as land, so we should be able to expand fairly well in here, unless somebody else encroaches and steals it all. Yeah, like I said, city spam as much as you can in the early game. So I'll leave this episode where it is, and we will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.